Well, the first step is finding a property. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the properties this afternoon. Obviously, for any that spark your interest, just drop me an email. You'll have my email towards the end of the webinar, if not already, and I can send across to you a full illustration of the costs for your family for each of the developments with the brochures and things like this. But I'll give you a brief overview on what the different options are. So at 280, okay, at 280,000 to start with, okay, you have the option of buying a share in a hotel or an apartment within a hotel. Okay, there is a nice development being built at the moment in Beja, okay, very much kind of inland Portugal, in between Lisbon and the Algarve. It's going to be a Holiday Inn. Okay, I'm sure everyone's heard of the Holiday Inn, and the proposition is a very, very straightforward proposition, and a typical example of a share option where you can buy a share in the hotel for 280,000 euros, and the developer will have you as a co-owner of the hotel. Okay, you will be on the deeds to the hotel of the entire development. It's been offered by Portugal's biggest property developer. They have a very handsome portfolio of 4- and 5-star hotels in Portugal. The incentives of which include they pay all of the property taxes up front. Okay, for those that aren't aware, typically buying a property in Portugal will trigger a tax of somewhere between 5 to 10% of the purchase price. That is paid for you by the developer as an incentive. And there is also a mandatory buyback. So after the 5 years, after you have your passport, it's a mandatory buyback, which means you must sell the share back. It's not a bad thing, but again, it's a mandatory buyback, so you put 280,000 in, and you get exactly 280,000 back out. And during that 5 years, the developer will let you stay at any of their hotels for 7 days each year, free of charge. And that's not just Holiday Inns; that is any of the developers' hotels, where there's a mixture of Hilton, Sheraton, Marriott hotels as well. So yeah, plenty of places to choose from up and down Portugal. It's not profitable. There's no other incentives. It's just a reduction in costs. Very straightforward, low capital way to get the passports, with a good hotel chain and a very, very well developed developer as well. Another good option at the moment, again, I think it's 90% subscribed at the moment. This is the one option in Portugal where it is the lowest capital route, anything in Portugal to get the passports. It's going to be a very nice Wyndham hotel, about kind of half an hour south of Lisbon. About an hour south of Lisbon. And when it's all finished, it will be, as you see exactly in those photos there. The offer from the developer is, again, you can buy a share in the hotel for 280,000 euros. You'll be a co-owner of a 4-star Wyndham hotel. The developer still has a very good track record. They've been around for a very long time. Again, offering to pay the initial property taxes. They still have the buyback after the passports have been granted. Huge incentive on this one, very unique, by the way, that they actually pay an upfront rental income of 30,000 euros. So as part of the purchase, you will get a lump sum of 30,000 euros. So you're effectively buying at 250 instead of 280. But that 30,000 pays for all of the legal fees, all of the Golden Visa taxes and so on, and leaves you with a nice profit as well. And passports, which is always a bonus. So this currently is the one route to the passports that requires less capital than anything else in Portugal. Okay, and again, you can stay for 7 days in any of the developers' hotels. My personal favorite, although I'm a little bit biased, I suppose, is the Yellow Tulip in a town called Alvor. It's actually about half an hour away from where I live in the Algarve. You can see how close it is to the seafront. And this hotel is already built. It's actually a fully functioning 4-star hotel that's already on booking.com. Okay, but it's a bit run down. It is a renovation project, so it's just closed for the renovation at the beginning of this year. And when it's finished, it will be a very nice, as new 4-star all-inclusive hotel in the heart of the Algarve. All the swimming pools have been rebuilt. There's going to be tennis courts. There's a volleyball court. The restaurants have been redone. All the rooms, all the furniture, right from top to bottom. And the reason this photo was taken in summertime last year, there's a slight typo there at the top, but the difference with this one is that instead of buying a share in the hotel, you're actually buying a physical apartment. Okay, in some cases, you're actually buying an individual apartment that consists of 2 studio apartments, which are sold as 1 unit, and you can actually choose which floor that you'd like. You can choose which view you'd like, whether it's the poolside or the hillside, and you still have some great incentives. You still have the developer paying all the property purchase taxes. The reason I prefer this one slightly is that you still have a buyback, but it's an optional buyback, which means that if property prices go up in the next 5 years, like they have done in the last 5 years, then you don't have to sell it back at the same price. You have the option to decide whether or not you'd like to sell it on the open market or whether you'd like to sell it back with the buyback. Obviously, if prices go down in the next 5 years, you have the worst case scenario of at least getting back what you paid for it. So it gives you that extra option. Also, you have a rental income from year 6. Okay, so bearing in mind, it takes kind of 12 months to get the visa in your hand, and then you need to own the property for 5 years from that point. By the time you actually get the passport, you will have already received 12 months worth of rental income, approximately. And the hotel does all the management and the cleaning and the upkeep, but they basically just pay you 50% of the rental thereafter, and you don't have to do anything else really. And it's going to work about 5 to 6% per year as a rental income from year 6. So again, it's an extra option, and it could be a source of income, unlike the hotel shares. And the last point being is you can stay there for 2 weeks every year instead of just 1 week as well. So you get twice as many holidays, which is always good. So yeah, I think this one overall best value for money. The Wyndham currently is the lowest capital needed to get to the passports. There's an argument for all 3. It's a personal preference. Which one? But these are the 3 top qualifying investments in Portugal, as far as we're concerned, that tick all these different incentive boxes with solid developers, with a good track record, and a very clear exit with the buyback as well. Okay, so as we go up the price ladder, shall we say, next step is 350. Okay, so at 350, there's a good development at Lisbon Hotel. Okay, very similar to the first one that we looked at, but you can buy a share in this very nice new hotel at Lisbon Airport. But you can buy a share this time at 350,000 and be a co-owner of a 4-star hotel. You still get all the incentives of the purchase taxes being paid. You still have the buyback. The only difference being is that there is a 3% return paid each year from the point at which the hotel is built. So it's an extra 70,000 to invest, and you get a return from that. Again, up to you whether or not you feel you could work that 70,000 better by keeping the money back and going for the cheaper option, or again, you can get that return that'll work around about 10,000 euros. Great development up in Porto. This one is in a very nice part of Porto, and it's old office blocks, I think, at the moment. And when it's all done, it'll be very nice self-catering apartments, which will look exactly as you see on the screen. In summary, yeah, if you said to me, look, I really want to have a place in Porto, I think this is the best option in Porto right now. I don't think there's a huge argument for it compared to other developments and the other incentives available, but it's great for Porto. You have a guaranteed rental income of 3.5% for 5 years, but there isn't any buyback option with this one. So just be mindful that, when you come to selling the property, naturally you're going to have the normal selling costs of paying an estate agent, also paying for a lawyer. So there's other costs to factor in, but it's still a good option. You can still stay there for 7 days each year. It'll be a nice development. If you want to be in Porto for your holidays, or just like the idea of owning a property in Porto, then this ticks a lot of boxes. A little bit there about property prices. Of course, you don't have the buyback, so you are entirely reliant on property prices in Portugal. Prices have been flying over the past couple of years. I think 2021 increased by 14%. 2022 went up by 20%. The price growth is not sustainable. A part of the reason why the Golden Visa has been renewed, of course, reviewed, should I say. So yeah, it's anyone's guess in 5 years' time what property prices will look like. Personally, I don't think they can be sustained. I think they will come back a little bit. Long term, I think the future is bright. Naturally, with people now not having to work in a busy city centre and more people working remotely and being able to work from their laptop, the first place that you think of is taking your laptop over to the beach rather than sitting at your desk in a very busy office. So Portugal is very much seen as a hotspot for digital nomads, and I think generally we'll see the population increase over coming years, which naturally has a demand on property prices. So take that as you will, but just be mindful there's no buyback and it will just be selling in a traditional manner. Okay, Pelican Algarve. This one is sold out, unfortunately. I think there is maybe one 2-bedroom apartment left, but it's pretty much sold out, so I won't spend too much time on this one. This is also in Alvor. The option was to buy a 1-bedroom apartment at 400 or buying a 2-bedroom at 450. The reason why this sold out so quickly actually is that the incentives are phenomenal, because the developer was actually paying a rental return of 5.2% for 6 years. Sorry, but per year, 5.2% per year. However, paying 6 years worth of rental income up front, allowing you to buy a 1-bed for 400, actually at 306,000, with a buyback at 400. So guaranteed profit of 94,000 euros, and again for the 2 beds, paying a return of 4% per year, allowing you to buy at 369 with a buyback at 450. Again, the optional buyback, so you don't have to sell back at 400 and 450, but that's your kind of worst case scenario. And you can stay in the hotel for 4 weeks every year rather than 2. So again, capital required is higher, but there's much more incentives. If it's affordable, if it's within budget, naturally you're going to make a considerable amount more money at this option than you would with the 280 options. So again, just finding a balance between the two. If you are interested in that remaining 2-bed, it is there right as of right now, but we'd have to move very, very quickly if it's of interest. So please let me know. I can send you a video for the hotel for you to have a look at, and then you can secure that 2-bed with a small deposit and, of course, the initial paperwork. Okay, other than that, Lisbon, in the heart of Lisbon, very beautiful development, right in the heart of Lisbon, about 15 minutes away from the airport. Okay, this one qualifies at 500,000. It's a mixture of 3 and 4-bedroom villas. Very nice development, very nice place to be. But yes, more capital, higher price point of starting at 512,000. It's not quite finished just yet, but it's well underway. Again, you're not buying a share, you're buying an actual villa. You're the deed owner to an individual villa. The guaranteed rental option is between 3 to 6% per year, depending on which villa that you buy. You can opt for a profit share of what averages 7 to 10% per year, or this is one of few developments that has a commercial license that allows you to actually live in the property as well. So you can sacrifice the rental income to live there at any time, should you wish. I think the chances of this particular property being the exact property that you want to live in long term out of all the properties for sale in Portugal is probably quite unlikely. But should you wish to have a sudden urge to move to Lisbon, you can do so at any time into this property. Other than that, there isn't any buyback, there isn't any taxes paid. It's you kind of getting a very luxurious property at the kind of sacrifice of additional incentives, you could say, in this one. But a good option in the centre of Lisbon. And last but not least, what is the most profitable investment in Portugal right now is the Royal Óbidos. This is a 5-star golf and spa resort on the Silver Coast, about 40 minutes north of Lisbon. It is a purpose-built resort for a PGA golf course. The European Open, I believe, was played there last year or the year before. I'm not a big golfer myself, but for any golfing fanatics, this is the place to be. As an investment perspective, the rental demand from golfers is phenomenal, and hence the value in the properties. The hotel at the back is not for sale. The properties in the front are a mixture of studio and one-bedroom apartments. It looks exactly as you see in the photo, apart from the grass is now properly grown. It's all very nice and green, but it is fully built. It has sold very well. There is still some availability within the apartments at the front. All of the properties have a sea view. It's a phenomenal place to be. Especially if you're a golfer, you can see the golf course there just at the front. I think the golf fees are just €50 if you're an owner as well. But yeah, without looking at all the nice pictures, as an investment, okay, because you're not going to live there. Remember, I've got to remember that you're not going to live there, so don't get too excited. However, you could spend your holiday there. You have two options. You can buy 2 studio apartments at $350 each, or you can buy a 1-bedroom at $500. Okay, but it qualifies at the 500,000 mark, so it has to be the 2 studios at $350 each, or 1 bed at $500. If there are any golf fanatics out there, you'll recognize some of these names as far as the designers and the architects of the building and the golf course itself. But as an investor, the part that makes it particularly profitable is that the developer is offering a guaranteed fixed rate of 7% per year before tax. After tax, there is a fixed rental of 5.25%, and the developer is offering to pay 5 years rental income up front as well, which allows you to buy 2 studio apartments for $500 or a 1-bedroom for just $368, with the buyback offered at $700 for the 2 studios or $500 for the 1 bed. Again, which is optional for the buyer. So you have a clear profit margin there, which comfortably covers the cost of the visa, for the renewals, for the legal fees, and leaves you with a very nice profit as a thank you for applying for your passports. And you can stay there for 6 weeks per year. For a client not so long back, we actually changed the 6 weeks per year to 3 weeks per year, but for 2 properties, as they wanted to bring some family out as well. But by default, you have 6 weeks free stay in the property. So yeah, that's the last one. That's our property portfolio right now. Like I say, there's an argument for all of them. Hopefully, I've covered those in enough detail. What time are we on? We're on. Wow, I've been talking for some time. Okay, let's get stuck in to some questions. Okay, where shall we start? Okay, will the new law impact the rules to renew the Golden Visa? Can it be the case that the current property allows to get for a Golden Visa but will not renew it under the new law? As it stands, we are pending further information on this part. We don't know for sure what the changes may be as far as the renewals. The common consensus at the moment is that it's very unlikely to be changed at all, despite the Prime Minister's wishes and it being a possible solution to some of the problems. It is very much unconstitutional to be able to retrospectively change the laws of which people made a commitment and an investment in Portugal. So it's very unlikely to happen. As it stands, the proposal is, the property must be used for your own residence or as a rental, as a full-time rental. The properties, of course, our understanding at this point is that the properties cannot be Airbnbs, which we kind of already knew. The government wants to get rid of Airbnb short-term lets. Each of the hotels are permanently on the rental market. They're rented permanently to the managing agents, which we're confident will be perfectly fine in line with the new laws. So that's all I can tell you for now, but we will find out more in due course. Hopefully that helps. Hi there, Mary. How much does it cost to get a NIF and set up the bank account? The amount that would not be refundable? A few €100 as a rough guide, Mary. We could probably put it in there, so that is also fully refundable. Don't quote me on that for now, but it is not much. The tax number we can get within kind of 48 hours. The bank account requires a little bit more work depending on nationality and which bank. But yeah, we'll make these costs very clear for you at the outset, once we know your situation and what it is that we're looking to do. What does it take to get an application in if we have not found a property yet? We are coming in late March, the 30th. To get an application submitted, you need to have purchased a property. In short, so just coming back to the process, we need to set up a bank account, we need to get your tax number, and we need to purchase a property. On the day of the purchase, we submit the application. At the moment, we are aiming to get that done in 6 weeks before the earliest possible deadline at the end of March. So my advice on that one is to start the process now, get the bank account and the tax number established, and we aim to get the purchase and the submission done before the end of March, which might be before you get to Portugal. The other option is we can wait until after the end of March when we have further information from the government and hopefully have a lot of the work done already to proceed to completion very quickly thereafter. But yes, definitely worthwhile starting the process before. And if you wait until the end of March to start the process, there's a very high chance that we just won't be able to get everything done in time before it's withdrawn if there is a very short deadline. How do we meet with you to get the application going, at least with the tax numbers and the bank accounts? Hi, Anita. If you send me an email at the bottom, you see my email on the screen now. If you just send me an email with your availability for this week, I've opened up a few extra appointments for later this week, but just let me know what days you're available, and we shall book in a time, and I'll re-go through any questions that you have, and we can start the process. Can the new law be applied retrospectively? No, it cannot, in my humble opinion. But no, it cannot be applied retrospectively. As long as we've submitted the application, that is the laws and the conditions of which you have applied for the visa, and those will be honoured. Anything submitted after the deadline, we don't know. They will apply to the new rules or perhaps not go ahead at all if it's withdrawn. What bank is the account opened with? Depends on circumstances. There's a number of banks we can recommend in Portugal. For American citizens, there aren't too many banks to choose from. There are very particular reporting standards back to the US. So not all banks offer US citizens the option to bank with them. But as an example, one bank that works quite well is Bison Bank, which has been particularly good for American applications. We also use Millennium Bank for generally non-US applications, but there's a few. We can give you a choice and we'll explain the pros and cons with each of them. Okay, so hi Richard. So full property investment funds are required before the submission in preferably 2 months from now, correct? That is correct. Yes, you must have purchased the property before you're able to submit your application. So again, we will be mindful of obviously in no case will we leave you in a position where you have purchased a property and then find yourself unable to submit. You will only complete the property if we can do it on time, or if we can't, we'll just have to wait until after the announcement. And of course, you won't put any capital at risk until that time, but we'll submit your application on the same day that you complete on the purchase. So if we do that before the deadline, great, and then we submit the application straight away. But yes, you'll need to pay in full for the property to become the owner. Do you have a list of required documents, including which ones need to be apostilled? Hi, Alexander. The documents to reserve and start the process is only a copy of your passport for everyone that's to be included on the visa. And I just need to know, I need a copy of your passports, and I need just your confirmation of your address, your home address. Our administration team will then send you an electronic form to sign, which is our client agreement, which will be your permission for us to begin the process with the establishment of your bank account and the tax number. Of course, we can set up a call to go through that as well. But first off, we just need to choose a development, a copy of your passport, and then we can get the reservation forms to you. Hi there, Chris. Is there a chance the government may only end the personal home? Is there a chance the government may only end the personal home pathway, but keep the commercial pathway, or does it look like it's going away entirely? I don't foresee a reason. Well, maybe, Chris. They might do. They might do. What we understand at the moment is the government's plans is to end the plan entirely. There will be some negotiation. There might be. I mean, this is not the first time that we've been told that it's going to end. Back in 2020, it was also told that it was going to be withdrawn. Subsequently, it wasn't withdrawn, and there was a rule change, but they didn't actually kick in until January 2021. So yeah, at this point, we're not too sure. It may be the whole lot, it may not be, but only time will tell. Hi, Lisa. To obtain citizenship, what are the language requirements for young children or children with disabilities? I've heard there is a modified exam, but can you provide more details? I'll need to look into that for you, Lisa. If you don't mind, send me a quick email as a reminder. I will come back to you by the end of this week with exactly what language requirements there are for children and those with disabilities. No problem. Not too sure off the top of my head, but I shall find out for you. Hi, Chandra. Can we get the recording? Yes, you can get the recording. We will have the recording later this week, and I will be sure to send everybody a copy. No problem. Hi, David. The government mentioned changes to renewal criteria. Will the government be able to change the law to stop renewals before you get the passport, or even the rules around getting citizenship at the end of the Golden Visa period? Not if we submit the application before the cutoff date. Post the withdrawal date, possibly. We don't know. We can only find out. But yeah, all of the existing laws will remain if the application is submitted before the law is physically changed, which again takes some time. Okay, so thank you, David. Hi, Nita. What is your email? My email, you'll see on the screen, Nita, is jason.swan, SWAN, @holbornassets.com. You can also message on WhatsApp if it's easier. But yes, I'll pick up emails and reply as quickly as I can. Hi there, Christine. The language requirement, does it apply to the entire family, primary applicant, spouse, and children? The answer is yes, it does. Everybody is exactly the same, has exactly the same rights and benefits and requirements. So yes, everyone will need to do the language test. If children are below a certain age, again, I'll just double check that with our legal team. And actually it'd be unfair for children of a very young age to pass the same exam as fully grown adults. But in the main, yes, everyone must attend the biometrics meeting, everyone must renew their visas, everyone gets the passport, and everyone has the need to learn some Portuguese. I've been in Portugal for 2 years. I've got 3 years left. I've not learned a word of Portuguese just yet. But yeah, I'm not particularly good with languages, unfortunately. Hi, Mustafa. What about investment hotel projects? Can you please give info on that? You have to be a little bit clearer on that, Mustafa, as far as your question. Investment hotel projects are perfectly fine. You'll see a few of them that we covered off before, but again, all of which will be under review with the new laws that may come into effect very soon. But again, please do pop in another question, Mustafa, with any specifics there. Hi, Sean. Don't we need a criminal record check before we can submit the application? Or can that follow after the application? Yes, Sean, you are correct. We will be doing a world criminal record check. Just to clarify, we've actually submitted over 10% of the world's Golden Visa applications since the scheme was launched in 2012. We have a 100% success rate on our applications, and that is largely down to our due diligence on the properties before we market them, and also on the buyers as well. And part of that due diligence is a criminal record check. So yes, that is part of the process, and that is what we will do for you to make sure it is successful. Okay, Anonymous, if one is not ready for the A2 language exam at the end of year 5, can temporary residence be extended? Yes, you can, no problem. Try not to leave it too late, but you've got 5 years to learn. But if you just can't do it, you can keep renewing the visa every 2 years. You can give yourself as much time as you need. But it's only at the point when you want to submit your application for permanent residency or a passport where you must be able to pass that exam. Hi there, Kristen. Which hotel was this one, please? Sorry, Kristen, you'll have to. I'm not too sure there. Not too sure which one you might be referring to. But I can send a copy of the recording. Drop me an email, and yeah, I can send you each of the options with the the costings as well. Is the application only considered submitted once funds have been paid for the property and application submitted to SEF? Yes, that is exactly the definition of what submitted is considered. It is your application for the Golden Visa applied for, and we have the processing number in the system. And to do that, you must have a qualifying property and bank account and tax number. Hi there, Gillian. Do you have to sell? Do you have any programs where you get to keep it? Yeah, many programs, Gillian. You'll see anything that has an optional buyback. First of all, you can choose. After year 4, you get the option to cancel the buyback or to keep it in place. So if property prices go up in the next 4 years, you can basically decide to keep it. So after the 5 years, it won't be purchased back, and you can sell it on the open market, or you can keep it. In some cases, you can move into it. You can do whatever you like. But yeah, there's a number of properties where you can keep them. If you're booking a call with me for one day this week, I'll talk you through them, and then I can send all the brochures out to you as well. Hi there, Richard. In the event that the visa application is refused, if we are considered unacceptable by SEF, i.e. if the scheme continues but we are not accepted, could we end in a situation where we are committed to purchase the property but do not have a residence, do not have a visa or residence? In theory, yes, you could. However, it's never happened. It's never happened. The criteria is very straightforward for the Golden Visa. We will be doing those checks before the submission and before the completion of the property. So the lawyer will be talking you through that process. And over 2,000 applications that we've done, Richard, we've never been in that situation where we've got it wrong. So no, it won't happen. In theory, it could happen, but it won't happen due to the due diligence we shall do before you purchase the property. Can you apply for a Golden Visa if you already have investment property? So I've already a bank account and NIF. Hi, Amanda. You can, as long as it qualifies. If you have a bank account and a NIF, that's a big thumbs up. It means the process to get the visa submitted will be much, much faster. We could do that in a matter of weeks. You just need to make sure that you have a property that qualifies under the current criteria. So if you want to send me details of the property that you have, I can let you know. Alternatively, we can help you to find one. Okay, how are you protected if the developer becomes insolvent? That answer would be dependent on which development that we are referring to. In most cases, the developers, in most cases, it doesn't actually matter whether the property is built or not, because the criteria is met at the outset. So there's very little need to worry about the rental demand for the property or the completion date of the property. Some properties are already built, some aren't. So you do need to be mindful of who the developer is. Obviously, you don't want to be buying a property off plan with an unknown developer. You don't have to go too far to find many horror stories of that happening in Portugal. But yeah, the developers that we work with, the very select few developers that we work with, have already a very handsome portfolio of unencumbered assets, which, as far as our legal due diligence has been concerned, is more than substantial enough to honour the buyback agreements and to make sure that they continue with the building development as well. There is different protection in place, but if you let me know which development in particular has caught your interest, I can go through that in some detail and we can have a look at some of the legal agreements behind that development as well. What was the name of the great buyback that sold out? Can people stay there when you visit? What was the name of the great buyback that sold out? The development that you're talking about is the Pelican Hotel. The Pelican Hotel in Alvor. Yes, you can stay there for 4 weeks per year. That can be you or your family for free. Again, there's 1 2-bedroom apartment left at the moment, but yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. It sold very quickly. The Yellow Tulip is the new Pelican Hotel, slightly less capital, but yeah, it's the Pelican Hotel in Alvor. Hi there, Marinus. Do you offer a cancellation contract if, for whatever reason, the Golden Visa does not get granted? Yes, in all of our contracts, Marinus, there is a clause that if you are unable to proceed with the application due to a withdrawal or a change in criteria, you will be issued a full refund. What is Holborn's fees for all of this? Okay, we don't charge any fees. Some companies will charge a fee for the services, but we get paid ultimately by the developers. And we, like I said, we've done over 10% of all Golden Visa applications in the world since 2012. So we get paid plenty enough from the developers without having to levy an additional fee to our client. The only fees that you will pay is your legal fees, and you'll pay for the government taxes, but our costs are paid by the developer. Very happy for gifts and presents, of course, but no fees. Do we need to apostle and translate into Portuguese all documents, and does it take a long time? Yes, you will need to do the translation. That again is carried forward by way of our service, or the translation will be done on your behalf. And no, it doesn't take a long time, depending on the lawyer, of course, but with our recommended lawyers, it will be done ASAP, especially with the deadline now upon us. Excuse me. If we're not sure about the renewal process given the new upcoming law and we already purchased a property, what can we do? Our goal is to get the citizenship. Well, if you've already purchased a property, you will, and hopefully you will already have submitted your application for the Golden Visa, in which case you don't need to worry about future changes. You will be the existing laws at the time of your application will be honoured. Of course, if you haven't actually purchased a property just yet, and that was to happen after the withdrawal or the new changes, then yes, you would be subject to those new rules, which may incorporate a change in the renewal process. Again, please do drop me a message and we can go into some more specifics on that, no problem. I have funds tied up in other assets which may not be able to free up for another 2 months. Would I need to have the full amount available up front, or would a deposit be acceptable? That's fine, perfectly okay. With the maximum money you would need up front for any of the developments is about €25,000, which pays for the initial legal fees and the property deposit. Not all of the properties require a deposit, but the maximum would be €25,000, all of which would be fully refundable if there was any problems with the withdrawal. And the balance, again, the balance is just as soon as you can. As soon as you can pay for the property, the sooner we can submit the application. There's not any deadlines set by us for the payment of the full balance. Naturally, it's just, of course, in your interest to do that as soon as you can, so that we can submit your application. Okay, hi, the Marinus. I meant a cancellation provision if on March the 16th they decide that the starting point of cancellation of the Golden Visa is okay. Yes, to come back to your original question, yes. So in all events, there is a cancellation agreement, Marinus. No matter what the changes are, if it affects the application, then yes, you will have the option of a full refund. We have a phenomenal client feedback. Our customer service is the best you will find anywhere in the industry. Please do take a look at Trustpilot. If we ever do have any difficult situations, where I always put them right. We never have any unhappy clients, to the best of our ability. And yes, we'll make sure that you have full reassurance if anything was to go wrong, that your money is protected. Can an American bank in Portugal, i.e. Citibank, be used? Does it simplify anything? Yeah, no problem at all. If you have a bank in Portugal, or if you want to set one up with Citibank, yeah, perfect. It makes no difference which bank that you use, as long as it's in Portugal. If anything, it would be faster. If you already have a Citibank, that would maybe save you up to 2 months of the time to get the application submitted. It's no problem. Hi there, Mustafa. Children under the age of 18 years old, eligible for Golden Visa at the time of application, but be submitted. What if they're over 18 when it needs to be renewed? In short, Mustafa, yes, they'll be fine. There's a little bit of extra work from our side to be done. However, yes, if they're under 18 at the time of application, they will be okay. At the renewal stage, of course, we'll talk through that in some detail on a one-to-one basis, but yeah, it will be no problem. After 5 years, when we apply for citizenship, do all family members, are they all required to pass the language exam individually? Yes, they are, if they wish to apply for their citizenship. If they don't want to apply for the citizenship, then they don't. Okay, can we add dependent parents at any point in the application process? Yes, you can. It's best practice to do it at the same time, however, because you want the 5-year clock to be ticking so that you all get your passports at the same time. However, yes, no problem. Leslie, hi Leslie. Are kids included if minors at the time of application are no longer minors after 5 years? Yep, okay, so similar to Mustafa's question, yes, in 99% of cases it will be fine. And of course we'll go through that before we start the process in some detail, but yes, you'll be okay. The Holiday Inn. The Holiday Inn. The Holiday Inn, that's the question. I believe that's leading on from a previous question. The Holiday Inn. The Holiday Inn, yes, is the first one we looked at. It's the holiday share. You have to excuse me, I can't remember what the question is about the Holiday Inn, but drop me an email and I will send you the brochures for the Holiday Inn. And of course, I can give you the quotes for however many family members you'd like to be included as well. Hi, Mustafa, what will the total fee? What will be the total fee we are all asked to pay Holborn Assets for the consultancy and all services? Can you give us an example with possible cost details? Yes, Mustafa, no problem. I just need to know which development that you're interested in, how many family members you'd like to include, and I will send to you a full cost breakdown of everything that you need to know over the next 5 years. No problem, but please do send me that information on an email and I'll get that over to you by the end of this week. How do you compare to other legal services companies that deal with the same developer, IAS, for example? Well, we don't offer a legal service as such. We obviously within my team there are many different moving parts, one of which is a lawyer. So we will recommend a lawyer which is familiar with the particular development that you wish to purchase, that can get things through quickly. And I suppose the question would be, how does that lawyer compare to other legal services providers? As far as we're concerned, it will be a lawyer that can get the process done faster than anybody else because they've already been prepped and already familiar with the development. As far as how do our services compare? Well, there's a good reason why we've done such a large percentage of the world's applications. Due to the size of our wealth management practice of over $3 billion, we also get access to properties and incentives which are not available to the general public or to smaller Golden Visa companies. So we kind of use the weight of Holborn to negotiate the best offers available in Portugal. Apart from my wits and banter along the way, I think that's probably the main reason why we do so well in this area. Hi, Mustafa. Will our investment be under government protection? Real estate, Mustafa, is not a regulated industry. Okay, so naturally you need to take confidence in the contracts. You need to know what you're buying, and you will have the same protection as you would have with any house that you're purchasing in Portugal. We ourselves are a regulated entity. We provide financial advice with protection on a number of different areas as far as wealth management and taxation and investments and savings and pensions and things like this, all of which we have a regulatory body. Real estate is not a regulated entity, so naturally you would just carry out the normal legal due diligence as you would do with any property purchase. Okay, hi Kristen. What happens for the buyback if one does not obtain citizenship? The buyback is not conditional of the citizenship. You can execute the buyback even if you decide not to apply for the citizenship. It's a completely separate agreement, which is time-based. You can also extend the buyback up to 15 years in most cases. But yes, it's not dependent on permanent residency or citizenship, but you still have the buyback either way. Okay, making good time. Anita, hi, thank you very much. You're very welcome. No problem at all. Hi, Richard. I have a HSBC Euro banking account in France. Does HSBC operate in Portugal? I've not seen any HSBC banks, Richard, in all honesty. I don't think so, possibly. Although I think it would probably be about the same time to set up a new account, even if you was already banking with them, to be fair, but I'm not sure. Maybe have a look on Google, see if HSBC are in Portugal. Okay, right. You're very welcome, Mustafa. No problem at all. So I've covered all of the questions in the webinar so far. Anita, the only question I've got left is yours with regard to your husband and French and EU nationality. If you could just drop me a quick email, we'll schedule some time to catch up, and I'll go through that with you on a separate occasion. But other than that, we've got some more questions before the webinar. So let's see what we've got. Hopefully, I've covered a good amount of these questions already, but we'll jump in. So, hi there, Art. You mentioned you'd like to find out about issues that may affect the Golden Visa. So I think we've covered those during the webinar. How to achieve the visa for less than 280,000. Okay, so the development at the Wyndham Hotel, because it pays a rental income of 30,000 euros and it only cost 280,000 euros. The whole process is less than 280,000 euros, which means you can pay for the taxes, you can pay for the legal fees, you can do the renewals, and it's all paid for by the incentive. So it doesn't quite work out that way if there's kind of a big family on the application, but for 1 or 2 family members, it actually pays for itself. So you actually get the passports free of charge. And it doesn't get much better than that. For one person, you actually get paid, I think, about 9,000 euros as a profit along with your passport. So that is the best way to do it for less than 280. The Wyndham Hotel, but be mindful, it is very full. It was 90% subscribed as of last week. It will probably be sold out by the end of the week, if not next week, in light of the news. So if it is something that you want to find out more about, please book in a call with me as soon as possible, and we'll aim to get a unit reserved. Hi there, Arif. Yep, so we've covered off the new projected deadlines. Claudine, the configurations in which a golden visa is still possible. Okay, yeah, so I think we've covered that off with the different investment routes. Nothing has changed just yet. All the laws are exactly the same, but there is a pending deadline. Could be as early as the end of March. So time is of essence. Hi there, Lisa. Yeah, so we covered off how to achieve the visa for less than 280,000. Hi there, Karen. How can I buy my dream home and still qualify for the golden visa opportunity? The chances are, Karen, you probably can't. And the reason why is because as of last year, you can no longer buy a residential property in any of the main cities. So unless you wanted to live inland, if you want to live inland, then you can do that. You can buy your dream house from 400,000 if it's in a low density area, and you can live there straight away. So it can still be done, but if you want to get into the main cities, the idea would be is you would set up the investment purely as a way to get the passport. You'd buy something at maybe 280,000 purely as a way to get the passport. And after 5 years, you get all the capital back, and then you go and buy your dream house. Or you take 280,000 for the investment, and then if you have the budget available to still buy your dream house, you can do that immediately as well without any restrictions, because you've already got a property that meets the criteria. So yeah, a bit of planning required, but you could do it straight away as long as you get a golden visa property running first, or you could do it after 5 years, maybe rent for a little bit in the meantime until the capital comes back at that point. Okay, Alexander, most optimal way to invest in the Portugal for Golden Visa. So I think we've covered off, have covered off all the best ways to get involved with the Golden Visa. Hi, Wendy. Having purchased a villa in Villa de Labo, I assume that is, can we still qualify for the Golden Visa? Probably not. Probably not, Wendy. Depends when you bought it. Depends what it is as well. But probably not. But send me some details, jason.swan@holbornassets.com, and I shall let you know. Robert, hi Robert. What is the minimum investment and when is it needed by? So the minimum qualifying criteria is 280,000 euros. There is one option that you can, like you say, you can do for slightly less than 280,000, but up front you will need a minimum of about 10,000 euros, and then the balance within 6 weeks potentially. Can do it in longer than 6 weeks, but if you want to beat the deadline of the withdrawal, it's going to need to have the full balance pretty quickly. Otherwise, yeah, if you're not looking to push for the deadline, then you've got as long as you need. Hi, Dale. I really don't know which visa I should be looking at. Can you provide details regarding visas? Yes, Dale, no problem. This obviously today we're focusing on the Golden Visa. Drop me an email and we can certainly look at the other visa routes. No problem. Hi there, Annie. Benefits of the Golden Visa to a UK tax resident. By the question, you might be referring Annie to what's the tax benefits, to which there are none as a UK tax resident. Your tax will not change by doing the Golden Visa. When you move to Portugal, however, you can apply for NHR, and then you can potentially have a very low rate of tax. You can actually pay zero tax at all on income, some types of income from the UK, which includes dividends and maybe the rental income if you're looking to rent out your home. You can have just 10% tax on your pension income, and also for savings and investments, we can put those into a Portuguese compliant investment vehicle, which gives you a significant discount on the tax on income from investments as well. And of course, you get to enjoy Portugal and Europe, just like you did before Brexit. Be like going back a few years before Brexit. Okay. Hi there, Gillian. Yep, I've covered off the properties that we have for sale. Ima, by when will we get clarity on the government's decision? We will know more on the 16th of March. There won't be any changes on the 16th of March, but we will have the final proposal, which will be to basically be signed off by the president from the 16th of March. Question 2, what will happen to those who have already applied? So again, if we have submitted the application before that date, nothing at all. If we haven't, then we just need to make a plan based on the new rules, on the basis that it's not withdrawn immediately. There is a significant risk that it might be withdrawn immediately. In that event, you will have missed the boat for the Golden Visa and you will be refunded any monies that you have spent. But hopefully we'll have a bit of time. Hopefully we'll have a bit of time to get everything through before it's withdrawn. Hi, Annie, what do you need to do and documents needed to apply? Can you do it yourself? Documents needed to apply, well, do you need your identification documents, passports, proof of address? You can do it yourself. Yeah, you could do it yourself. Naturally, you'll need a lawyer. However, you'll still need a lawyer, so you'll still pay the same. Obviously, we're going through Holborn. You have basically us doing all the heavy lifting for you. We're paid by the developer, so you have my team managing with Seth doing the applications to the residency and citizenship, your bank account, the tax numbers, rather than you having to do that all yourself. So yes, you can, but might as well do it with us. Susie, hi Susie, more about the hotel renovation projects, please. How to find one that is lower risk, any considerations of pitfalls to be aware of. Again, we've covered off those different hotel projects. Susie, I hope that that's okay for now, but please drop me a message and I will be happy to send you the brochures and we can talk about the developers in more detail and the time frame for the build, amongst any other questions that you have, of course, as well. All of the hotels that we've recommended are either already built or with a very well established developer that has a lot of collateral or an existing portfolio of successful hotels. So risk is an absolute minimum. On top of that, we have legal contracts protecting certain misdemeanors along the way. So yes, we have all angles covered, but very happy to talk through those with you at the time. Okay, which residential areas near Lisbon are eligible for Golden Visa? All of them. All of the areas near Lisbon. Of course, if you are in Lisbon, it has to be a commercial property. If you're inland from Lisbon, then you might be able to get a residential property, but all areas near Lisbon are still available for the Golden Visa. Either Richard, after 2 years, will the visa renewal be denied? So I'm left with 3 years property tenure, but no visa. Not if we submit the application visa before the withdrawal date, Richard. That is the key. We need to get your submission done before any changes in law, so you do not have that concern. However, if we do not get the submission done before that date, then possibly yes. And we'll need to make a decision on that at that time. In the meantime, just to be clear, to keep everything refundable in case you cannot proceed and there is an impact on your application. But yes, we've got 2 months, Richard, to get the application submitted, and then you can sleep easy at night and you'll be good to go. Hi there, Mohammed. How can I get my brothers from Pakistan to Europe in Portugal? Well, your brothers, Mohammed, need to follow the steps we've already run through by finding a good quality investment and meeting the criteria and submitting an application ASAP. But let's book a call, Mohammed. We can do a meeting next week for yourself and your brothers, and we can go through any questions that you have. Hi there, Adam. Specifically about whether new applicants to the Golden Visa are being accepted, and if so, to what date? So yes, new applications are being accepted. We are proceeding as normal. It is business as usual right now. Nothing has changed, but there will be a deadline very soon, and we need to get everything done, ideally before that change in law, which could be as early as March. But as of right now, yes, new applications are being accepted. The availability on the properties that we've gone through is becoming somewhat limited. All of the developments are in excess of, I would say, 70% reserved. And that is increasing with the news, and there is unlikely to be new developments come to market, certainly at the moment, whilst of course there is the potential withdrawal. So there is limited availability. I don't like to sound as an encouragement to rush a decision, but that is a fact of it. We've taken more applications in the past few days than we've done, I think, in that whole month so far. So the sooner that you get in, the sooner you can pick the best remaining apartment or unit that's available, and the sooner we can start the process with your bank account and your tax number. Does the ARI system accept the new registration now? Yes, it does. My life partner and I are not married. Can we co-own an investment share? Hi, Dennis. There is one main applicant, so one main applicant will own the investment, and the other spouse will be a dependent of the application, but it will be owned by one person. Obviously, there is maybe additional legal work that we can do to protect each other's interest in that property, also in the event of death, to ensure that you have a valid will, to make sure that it passes from one person to the other. But formally, yes, there'll be one owner with a dependent, but let's talk through it, and I'll explain the options that you have depending on your concerns. Okay, where are we? When can I apply for this visa? Hi, Terence, you can do it straight away. We just need to get a property first. Property first, bank account, tax number, then we can apply for the visa. Is it possible to obtain citizenship through real estate investment? Yes, it is still possible, Igor, no problem. It is still, it accounts for 90% of applications for the Golden Visa through real estate. What do you think the overall effect of the Golden Visa cancellation on vacation real estate prices? Hi, Randall. It might have an effect. It will likely have an effect on some property prices without the Golden Visa. I think it will change obviously the types of properties that are built and developed in Portugal. You know, the different developers out there now are going to be, they're looking to build properties that sell quickly. You know, a big incentive at the moment is properties that qualify for the visa. Moving forward, they will build properties that are just nice properties. You know, it's something to be mindful of. I think it's also a good reason why the buyback incentive is important. You don't always get a buyback option with every development, but if you can have that in place, you know, if prices go down, you still have a get out of jail free card with the buyback to get the money back that you paid for it. And obviously, if properties do go up in value, if you have an optional buyback, you can sell it for a profit as well. But yeah, we shall see. At the moment, property prices are flying through the roof. Hi there, Glenn. Are any property options left? And what's the smallest secure investment option? For us, it's about the ease of applying. There are plenty of options left at the moment, Glenn. The smallest secure investment option, you would be looking at the Yellow Tulip, the Wyndham Hotel, or the Holiday Inn. all at 280. My personal preference being the yellow tulip, because it's a full title deed ownership. You get to stay there for 2 weeks every year instead of 1, and you have optional buybacks with a rental income as well, which you don't get with the other hotel shares. But the smallest initial deposit would be in the region of €10,000, and that's it. You leave it with us, Glenn. We get it. We make it super easy to apply because we do it all for you. We just need a copy of your passport, and we just need to know which development that you like, and we'll start the process. As soon as we get the reservation form to the developer, it immediately comes off the market, and then we get started. Hi, Lisa. Is there still an opportunity to participate in the Golden Visa, or is it completely gone already? Yep, so I think we've covered that off. Still alive and as good as it's always been, at least for now. Hi, Rebecca. We're still working in the US. How to pursue the second home ownership in Europe for vacation, then retirement. So yeah, again, covered that off, I think, through the general process of applying for the property. So we must find a qualifying investment, which ultimately will then give you that option to move into Portugal with immediate effect, and then anywhere in Europe after 5 years. And then you can enjoy your retirement thereafter, Rebecca. Okay, Scott, our application has been submitted and accepted with the application fee by SEF. What happens now? Well, now you'll be waiting for your appointment with SEF, Scott, which is when you'll be doing your biometrics. Depending on when you submitted your application, that'll probably be around 6 months thereafter. So you'll need to fly to Portugal. So I'm sure you're dreading having to do that. Maybe it'll be just about the right time for when the sun starts to come out, and you can have a nice holiday whilst you queue up at SEF, which won't be one of the most enjoyable experiences you've ever had, but hopefully that will be happening soon, and shortly thereafter you will receive your visa. Hi there, Richard. I've obtained a Portuguese tax ID number through you, and I'm in the process of investing in a property. Can I apply for the Golden Visa? I assume, Richard, that's what you will be doing already. If you started the process of a Portuguese tax number through us, and you're in the process of investing into a property, yeah, once you've invested in the property, once you've completed on it, you can then apply for the visa the same day, as soon as you can. Okay. How much is the amount of money for investing in Golden Visa? Yeah, okay, so we've covered that one off. How long does the processing time take? Yeah, we've covered that. Laurie, hi Laurie. If someone has a Golden Visa and has an Airbnb rental short term, what are they required to do with the rental going forward? The consensus, Laurie, at the moment is that, yeah, going forward, it is very unlikely that the law will be changed. If you have the Golden Visa and it was granted on the basis of what you have, it would be very much unconstitutional to change that, and that is a part of what is going on at the moment for the next 30 days, the actual public discussions about these proposed changes from the Prime Minister. So we think that's very unlikely that will actually change. But yeah, if you granted the Golden Visa on those conditions, we fully expect it to be honoured, as anything otherwise would just be, against common sense in most areas. Mike, hi Mike, how to process the application before the program expires? Yep, so we just need to find a property. There's a book a call. Please email me, Mike, jason.swan@holbornassets.com. We'll speak on a one-to-one basis. We'll choose an investment. I'll go through the cost with you for your family, and then we just need a copy of your passport, and we need to get started. We need to set up your bank account and your tax number as quick as we can, and then we'll aim to get it done before the withdrawal. Hi there, Claudia. Does it have to be a commercial property in the main cities of Portugal? Yes, it does. So Porto, Lisbon, and the coastal regions, including the Algarve, it does have to be a commercial property, but you can still buy residential property inland. Okay, inland only, not in the main cities. Megan, hi Megan. Impacts for new applicants of the changes. So again, as we've covered, there is provisions in place. All contracts will issue a full refund of any money spent if you're unable to meet the deadline and if there is an impact on your application for the visa. But it is best practice to make sure you start the process now. Get the bank account and get your tax numbers done. So if we don't quite meet the deadline, and we found there is a very short deadline to submit applications on the hopefulness that there will be a transition period. If it's a very short transition period, at least we can get this submission done very shortly thereafter. If you wait until the end of March to start the process, and there is a short deadline given in March, then you run the significant risk of not being able to do the visa at all. Okay. Hi there, Lisa. Clarify the refund policy for amounts paid by clients and how quickly amounts will be refunded if the application is not accepted. So it's an immediate payment, Lisa. Mine is off. If legal work has been carried out, the bank account, the NIF number, there'll be an element that will have perhaps been spent by that point, but anything that's not been spent is fully refunded straight away. There's no hold up with that at all. Okay. Hi there, Michael. Regarding the buyback option, clients must confirm by year 4. Given CEF processing slowdowns, may be unable to apply until year 6. Will this be extended? So if I've understood correctly, Michael, the buyback and the receipt of the passport is not linked. So the buyback can be extended for up to 15 years. So regardless of when you need the property until or how long it takes to get the passport, the buyback is still going to be in place for when you need it. Okay, hi Christine. What is the success of the charity option in achieving a US passport historically in the Golden Visa program? None at all, Christine. I've heard about this from another source. There's been no successful applications on that charity option. It's not something that we recommend. I think there's only one company that's claiming that is a legitimate way to the visa. From what we've seen, there are no successful applications at CEF on that charity option. So take that as you will. What will happen to Golden Visa investors who applied in 2021 but not yet approved? What will happen to Golden Visa fund investors? No changes at all. Don't worry, Mary. If you submitted your application in 2021, the current law will apply, just as it was at the time that you submitted your application. All is okay. All is well. Hi there, Lawrence. We had a family villa in Portugal for over 30 years until my father sold it 8 years ago. I want to retire there next year. Great. Okay, Lawrence. Well, you're very welcome to come and join me in Portugal. We just need to make sure that you have a visa to do so. So let's talk. Send me an email, jason.swan@holbornassets.com, and we can talk about how we can get you to Portugal and also how we can plan your retirement, perhaps, where you're going to draw your income, what the tax situation is going to be, how to get you set up so that you can just focus on not getting sunburnt and enjoying, I'm sure, your well-earned retirement. Hi, Annie, do you think there is a chance they won't stop the Golden Visa through hospitality and commercial route? There is a chance, yeah, there is a chance that there will be some form of Golden Visa left. Yes, there is a chance. As we understand at the moment, the plans are to remove it entirely. It's something like I think there will still be some element. There'll be still some form of investment visa available under certain criteria. The hospitality and commercial route, potentially yes, but at the moment they are under question just as property across the board. So we shall find out. We shall find out after the 16th of March. Okay, so those are all the questions kind of from before the webinar. Just had a few more come in. No problem, Sean. Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Let's let me know if you have any further questions. When would the balance of the deposit need to be paid by? The initial holding deposit, you'd pay that pretty much straight away. So once you've selected the investment and you'd like us to start the process, we will ask you to sign a client agreement form, which will instruct us to begin that process. And once the legal work and the bank account and the tax number is all done, you'll then be instructed by the lawyer to transfer the full balance to your Portuguese bank account, which, if we're looking to beat the deadline, will be really before the end of March, in the next 6 weeks. So that's the plan. That's the idea. But there's no conditions to do that. We're not going to force you to do that, but we will get everything ready as quick as we can. And if you can transfer the balance before the deadline, it means that you don't have to have any worries about the withdrawal of the program. Okay, so hi there, Des. Last question of the day. Do I understand correctly that developers pay Holborn fees? Are there no additional costs from Holborn to buyers? Yes, Des, that is correct. The only fees that you pay those to the lawyer. You pay legal fees, which vary depending on the property, and in fact, they don't actually vary depending on the property. They only really vary on the number of family members to be included. Some companies do get paid by the developer and levy a fee as well to the clients. We don't. Like I say before, we sell enough properties to be paid just by the developer to kind of keep costs to a minimum for our clients. So yeah, you just have the taxes to SEF, the legal fees, and the property fees. Excuse me. Hopefully that was okay. I think that's everything. So we've been talking for some time. So hopefully that was helpful. There was one question there. Will the new law impact the rules to renew the Golden Visa? Okay, yeah, so I think we covered that off earlier. Okay, yeah, we've actually covered these off. Super. Okay, so other than that, yeah, I hope everyone found the webinar helpful. As you can see on the screen, well, I've tried to cover as much as I can in a short period of time. There's been a lot of interest since the announcement last week, so I thought it was best to do everything live at the same time to get everyone the information that they need as quickly as possible. If you would like to speak on a one-to-one basis, please do so. There's no charges for a consultation, and we can talk through the different development options in more detail. I can provide to you the cost illustration for everything involved over the next 5 years so that you can make an informed decision whether it's something that you'd like to explore. And yeah, any questions, of course, around the stock availability and the different developments we'll cover naturally. But other than that, I think it's tea time. So I'm going to go and get myself home. I hope it was helpful. I'll send a copy of the recording out this week. If any questions at all in the meantime, drop me an email and get a hold of me on WhatsApp. I'll respond as soon as I can. And I shall hopefully speak to everyone soon, maybe in Portugal. So thank you very much. All the best. Bye now.